one of the things that people are interested in understanding is at the individual, at the human level, and at the team level. So individual employees and at teams, how do you think about really identifying what people's strengths are? Again, this is one that sounds a little funny. Do you really need some data on this? Do you need a tool about it? Well, yes, actually you do, because when you put a science-backed tool into reflective mode and help people understand where they're coming from and benchmark them, diagnose them across the wider population, it flashes up all kinds of data that allows people to be more aware of who they are, giving them insights into how they engage with other people. So there is a lot going on this slide. What does this mean? Well, this is an example of one of the graphs that comes up after people do what we call the Smart Collaboration Accelerator. It's a psychometric test that measures people. It's pretty quick. You just answer, questions for less than 10 minutes, but it diagnoses where people are along 7 different behavioral dimensions of smart collaboration. By now, you know that I'm a nerd. I'm not afraid to admit it. So it's all data backed. We have, thousands and thousands and thousands of data records from our work with companies that show that there are ways that collaboration is incredibly fostered and supported in certain kinds of behaviors. And what we found is that there's not one personality type that's better or worse at smarter collaboration. Let me just be really clear here. Smarter collaborators are not necessarily extroverts. They're not necessarily introverts either. But what we can show is that when somebody takes this diagnostic tool, they will come out on one side or the other, more extreme, on one side or the other of 7 different dimensions. Let's get really specific here. Let's look at the second one you see here is complex or concrete. That relates to the kinds of problems you're automatically drawn to. Are you the kind of person who loves problems that are really ambiguous, fuzzy problems, and you have to draw in ideas from lots of different domains, and you just love that big picture problem solving? Or does that frustrate you like crazy, and what you really want to do is get down to the business? How do we implement this? How do we execute it? How do we make things happen? Okay, somebody's thinking all this, fuzzy stuff up here, but I want to be concrete and specific about how to make it work. Does one of those 2 extremes sound more like you? Well, that's sort of a trait of yours. Chances are, if you like the big, crazy, ambiguous thinking, you like that even as a kid. It doesn't mean you can't think concretely, but here's why it matters. Remember when Ivan was talking about innovation? And he was talking about, innovation, I think he said, is more like a team sport these days. It's not just that you need more people collaborating in order to be more innovative. It's that you need people who are different from one another. And we might think about differences there as, okay, we need the data scientist, and we need the technologist, and we need the human factors person. Yes, absolutely. But for innovation, you also need differences on this dimension. You need the creative big picture thinkers, but if all you have is those on your team, you're going to end up with a bunch of wild, crazy ideas that never go anywhere. Innovation is creativity that gets applied for a useful purpose. And so those complex thinkers need to marry their thinking with concrete thinkers, and the complex plus the concrete equals true innovation. All right, so we're now saying, how do you get started on smarter collaboration at the team level? We can generate these reports that say, at the team level, do you have an overabundance of complex thinkers? Well, at some point, you need to bring in some concrete thinkers to really push you to figure out how to apply and execute and implement. So that's just one of the 7 dimensions, but I hope we've given you kind of a flavor of how to get started on figuring out composition issues. Where are your blind spots as an individual or as a group?